Thank you for being with us for the third episode in our Stubborn Hope series. I am Jessica Andre, the Director of Operations at ProLove Ministries, and I am excited and honored to be joined today by four incredible women. Each of these women has a connection with LoveLine, which is the primary project of ProLove Ministries. LoveLine is a texting line for women who are unexpectedly pregnant or mothering young children and find themselves in a complex situation. This year, like the past several years, our Loveline team is walking alongside women virtually nationwide. Let's hear more about Loveline's work from the people that live it. Loveline's intake manager is joining us. Thanks for being here, Nayeli.
Hi, thank you for having me today.
And you are a mom of four amazing adult children. Will you please share with us what your life was like when you first became pregnant?
Oh gosh, what my life was like. I was 14 years old, a month away from turning 15, and my mom came up to me after a couple of months and she's like, "Hey, are you pregnant?" And I started crying and I said, "Yes, I think so." And she scheduled an appointment right away with the doctor, and I remember walking into that doctor's office and my heart just wanted to jump out. And I remember the doctor telling me that I was already 4 months along. I didn't really have an idea what that meant, right? I was only 14. He said, "Do you want to listen to the baby's heartbeat?" And I said, no. Now that I think about it, I think it was just like to realize that I was a mom. And I was scared and I didn't want her. And it was a hard couple of months because watching my stepdad wanting me out of the house and my mom, being my mom, she was stepping up for me and saying, "Nope, if you want to leave, you leave, but she's going to stay." And then watching my siblings, and I remember that day that I came from the doctor, and my sister, I think she was probably 12, and she said, "You should have an abortion." Everybody, we just didn't know what was going on, right? And I remember there was a couple of months where I just stayed in my room and I was very afraid. I was very ashamed, embarrassed that my dad would see me. And I remember there was a period of 2 weeks where I saw my belly just pop out of nowhere. And I feel like in that moment, my baby said, "You know what? I don't have to hide anymore. I can come out now." And my belly grew so fast and I looked down and I was like, wow, like I have something growing inside me. And I think that was just a moment of panic, a moment of fear. I was 7 months pregnant and I told my boyfriend at that time, I was like, "Hey, I don't want this baby." There is times where I lay on my stomach because I don't want to have her. I don't want to have her. And, I think it was just me realizing that I was only 15 and I was going to be a mom and how I was going to do it. And I wanted to go and have fun and I wanted to be doing all this normal teen stuff. And he said, "Well, how about you don't do anything anymore? How about you have her? The moment that you have her, I'll take her and you go and live the life that you want to live." And I remember just sitting there and I went to the house and I started crying and I was like, I can't just let him take my baby, I'm gonna try my best to have her. And then we started naming her Andrea. And, like you said, I am a mom of four. By the age of 19, I already had four kids. Just looking back at my life and seeing all the difficulties that I had, now seeing that she's 22 years old, and then I have, my 20-year-old, my 19-year-old, and my 18-year-old. And how did I do it? Well, it was all the grace of God. Yes,
That's
Jess.
so beautiful.
Yes.
And not only that, not only were you a teen mom, but you're also one of the dearly loved quitters that first connected with the people here through our sister organization, and then there were none. So, how did you go from being a quitter to being the intake manager at Loveline?
So that's a funny story. Okay, so every time I tell it, I went to a youth conference here in LA, and my husband, he said that a couple of nights before he was praying about, my children, for them to find something there, for them to find God in that youth conference, and he said that he felt something in his heart. We went there and they started talking about Planned Parenthood. Okay, there was a priest there, and he started talking about a movie Unplanned and that Abby Johnson. I had no idea who Abby Johnson was. I lived under a rock, I guess. But they showed a couple of previews, and I started crying. My kids were looking over. They were like, probably she's had an abortion. I don't know what was going on through their heads. And I got home and I Googled who Abby Johnson was, and I saw a video on YouTube, and I listened to the whole video, and I was like, wow, she feels the same way I did, and she is in a place where she feels forgiven. I still feel like not forgiven. And I feel that I haven't reached God in that point. And so I contacted everyone on that email. I contacted, and then there were none. I emailed everybody on that list. I was like, I'm an abortion worker, but I worked there like 9 years ago. Can you guys still help me? Because I feel horrible. And they emailed back and they said, yes, give us a call at this number and we will help you. I called the number and I went to the retreat, and I came out of that first retreat feeling pumped, like I needed to do something with my life. And then they started talking about, LoveLine, that they wanted to do something. And I said, hey, if you guys need a volunteer, if you guys need someone, please count on me. Like, I want to do something pro-life. If that means being pro-life, then I want to do it. And in like probably like August, I started praying, like I wanted to work, but I wanted to do something that made God happy. And then they started in November, and that's where I started volunteering, and then I went contract, and then now I'm full time, and it's amazing. It's amazing.
So you have this really cool story about you used to work for an abortion facility and now you're our intake manager at Loveline. So you really have worked for both places and you can tell us what makes Loveline different from the abortion industry.
Yes, so working in the abortion industry, there is no empowerment. And I came to realize that until I found and then there were none. Because the moment that I walked into and then there were none, they helped me and loved me for who I was, not for what I did. That made me want to join them in the pro-life movement. So now that I'm working as an intake manager here at Loveline, I am answering those calls when women call us and say, I have 4 kids, I have 3 kids, I want to have an abortion because I feel that I cannot do it financially because I'm stuck, because my husband left me. And I worked in the abortion industry because I had that fear that my husband was going to leave me, that I was going to leave my children without food on the table. So I took that job and they paid me well. And here what we do in Loveline is the type of empowerment that I want to give them is the type of empowerment that I wish someone had given me. Because when I was pregnant and everybody looked at me like if I was like a horrible person, like if I was contagious, because I remember there was friends where they stopped talking to me because I was pregnant. And just making them feel loved and see them as who they are, it helps me on the role that I do because I share my testimony, right? Like, I never thought that I was going to be able to do this. I remember I had a conversation with my boyfriend back then, and that's now my husband. I remember we were sitting in a park and he said, how long do you think we will last? And I said, give and take probably a month. I don't think we're going to last a long time. And I didn't because I was only 14. But now that I see myself and I see the amazing children that I have, um, I want to share that empowerment to others that they can go to school, they can have a career, they can do anything and feel empowered because now they have that little human being looking up to them. And now let's do it for them.
I love that. I love that your experience as a teen mom and everything that you've been through really makes you the perfect person to talk with the women that reach out to us about their own unplanned pregnancies. And you've helped us design and improve and create some of our processes. And is there anything about the screening and the way that we talk to women on the hotline that you would really like to share that you're really proud of, that this is what we do that's very different?
So what makes us a love line is, like I said, the women that I talk to on a daily basis. It's the abortion-minded clients, that I want to talk to them and I want them to feel loved. I want them to feel empowered. And sometimes there's resources out there that can only offer so much, right? They can only do so much. But then they give them our number and then they contact us and then they're like, I didn't know there was places like this, right? I didn't know you guys existed. I didn't know that there was actually people out there that wanted to do this for me. And it's at the end of everything, it's to save that baby's life, right? But like I tell them, we got to love on you. We got to show you that you are loved and that you are cared for in order for you to choose life. Because if we don't take you out of the crisis that you're in, we're never going to see, over that crisis. We got to remove them out of the crisis, and that's what we do. We do case management because we want to see them empowered and we want to see them in a place where they don't need us anymore. And then we still have those clients that contact us and we still have that long-term relationship, right? Because we made them trust in us and we loved on them and we really cared for them. And then, I go back to that's how I would have loved for someone to love on me. Like, hey, here you go. Here's this number. Here's this help. I remember that there was a period of time where I had four kids and three of them were in diapers and I didn't have money to buy diapers. And if I would have found something like LoveLine, it would have saved me so much. But sometimes we just go through that, right? And we share it with our clients. Like, girl, I know what struggle is. I know what it is to just feed this to our kids, but at least we have some type of food on the table. At least we get some diapers, but we want to do this for you. I don't want you to think about how am I going to do it to buy baby items, right? Like we can do that for you, but we want to see you in a place where you just don't need us anymore. And that can take a day, 2 months, 3 months, a year. It doesn't matter. We're here. And that's what makes us different.
In your words, even as you're talking right now about it, I can just hear the love in your voice and the truth in your voice. So I just love how God has given you that combination of the circumstances that you've been through, you and your husband and your kids, and you can just encourage these women and meet them right exactly where they're at. And that's what makes you such a perfect person for this role.
Thank you. Thank you. I love it. I love it.
And you know that we're working to train pregnancy resource centers to do this work like we do. And what gaps do you think would help those centers fill in their communities if they were able to do this training and do work like Loveline?
Yeah, so I would say get out of your comfort zone. Sometimes we just get so comfortable in what we're doing, and that has worked for a long time. And we see that it doesn't, right? Like we see that the ultrasound is not working anymore. It worked for me 22 years ago, but it's not working for women now. So we just got to change. We just got to get out of our comfort zone and do things different. And if that's allowing somebody else to come and train us, let's do it, right? Because we are seeing what's working out there with clients. We always say we don't want to put a band-aid on the wound because after all, we remove the band-aid and the wound is still there. We want to take care of the wound first in order for us to help our clients. And if that's the pregnancy resource centers receiving our training, we would go out there, we do it over Zoom, we do it over video call, we make things work for them, right? Because we want to see them in doing our work, right? Like, hey, let's help you guys. And we're just here as a resource. Like we want to be the resource, but we want you guys to be the person in person because we know how much help that is to be sitting with someone. It's so hard. I tell my clients all the time, I wish I could give you a hug. Like I just want to hug you because I feel the pain. And I feel that you don't want to go through this abortion and how important that would be to be sitting with someone face to face and just getting that interaction. So if we can help pregnancy centers do that, let's do it. Like, let's get out of that comfort zone. Let's change things. And we're here to help. We're here to become that resource.
Couldn't have said it any better myself. Thank you for
Okay.
sharing that from your heart.
Yeah.
And thank you for being here on this episode of Stubborn Hope with us. And it was
Oh,
amazing
thank
to
you
talk.
very much. Thank you very
Thanks,
much,
Dan.
Jessica. Thank you.
I'm so glad to talk next about Loveline with our lead case manager, Lily. Hi, Lily. How did you first learn about Loveline and what led you to volunteer for us?
So I knew about Abby Johnson and her story years ago. We had been to several life marches and we saw her movie. And so I was kind of privy to what she was doing. And I followed her on social media. And one day I just was scrolling and found a post about Loveline and how they needed case managers. And so it kind of struck me because I thought, I can do that. Case management, that's up my alley. So I inquired and got an application. I think it was in the fall of 21 that I came on as a volunteer case manager.
So you said case management's right up your alley. What did you mean by that? Can you tell us a little more about why?
Well, just in my years of working, I did counseling and clinical psych stuff, but I worked with a lot of different teams just because we worked with kids and families. And so inevitably there was other organizations involved. And so there was a lot of advocacy and management of cases in different ways. So it kind of called my attention because I'd been home with my kids for a lot of years. And while I was doing a lot of different volunteering jobs, that sort of was like, ooh, yeah, I could go back to that.
And you have an educational background in psychology, right?
Yes, I have a master's in clinical psych, and I spent most of the time, most of my working years was working with kids, adolescents, and families, mostly at risk youth, kids who were involved in some sort of deviant behavior. I also did some behavioral consulting with kids and adults that have autism and developmental delays. Most of the time was working with families.
So, with that incredible background and your dedication to our team, we did bring you on to staff part time last year as our lead case manager. And around that same time, not too long after that, your personal life encountered a really big surprise. Would you like to share with us about that big surprise?
For sure. Yeah, big surprise. So I have two kids. I had my youngest at the time was moving on to college. And so I was kind of facing, I'd been a stay at home mom for many, many years. Like I said, I had bouts of working in different situations and volunteering in different ways, but really my kids and raising my kids was my life. And so I had been doing LoveLine for a couple of years already, loved it, but really felt like I needed something that I was accountable to on a daily basis. And so when the opportunity of coming on as staff kind of dropped in my lap, I was so excited because I loved the group, I loved the work, and it sort of gave me that extra like accountability. So I was excited. I started as a staff in September, and then in October, just a month later, we had a surprise new person that was growing within, and I was 5 months pregnant when I realized I was pregnant. I definitely was thinking I was having other kinds of women changes, not pregnancy. And so I was not expecting that. But we just really, it was a beautiful kind of process of surrendering to God's plan and not my plan or our plan. And our kids were overjoyed. They were super excited. So, of course, it took me a little while to get to that. But I was grateful and I was thankful. And so here we are. It was kind of interesting because we work with moms that are in crisis pregnancies or face unexpected pregnancies. This was a very unexpected pregnancy at a time in our lives where we kind of were phasing out of the child rearing and, looking into other things. And so it was interesting to kind of be in that place, of an unexpected pregnancy at this time. But it's been a joy. It's just fermented all of our, all of the time we've spent pouring into our kids. We get to do it again, and it's awesome.
We're so excited about that. And we love it when the baby shows up on our staff calls and we get to see how big she's getting.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I feel like the whole team has been so excited for you through this. And we talk a lot about how our team comes alongside women, and that's usually talking about our clients. But do you feel like that our staff and our policies here at Pro Love Ministries did the same for you? Like, did you feel like you were supported through your pregnancy and through your maternity leave?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was kind of nervous to bring it up when I found out I was pregnant because I just joined as a staff. Not like, oh my gosh, they're going to tell me I can't, because of course we're pro love and we're pro life and we're pro family. But, it was kind of like, eek. But everybody was so over the moon. Everybody was so excited. And honestly, we have babies in and out of our meetings all the time. Mom's breastfeeding. And, it really is a pro family scenario. And so I felt, it was nice to have the support, the excitement, and we have an awesome maternity leave program, which was great because I literally got to unplug for that time and adjust and do all the things, and then came back and, eased into it. It's been great. And like you said, I mean, she's usually somewhere in a call at some point.
It was a top priority of Abby's to make sure that Pro Love Ministries had a strong supportive parental leave policy to support our staff when a new baby is born to their family. It sounds like it worked well for you and your baby and your family. And is there anything about that that specifically stood out to you as you think about other jobs you've had? Like what made this one different?
Yeah, no, this was very different. I'm a part-time employee, and so to be offered a full 3-month maternity leave was it was a surprise. It was a super welcome surprise. I was so grateful because it really speaks to the fact that we put our money where our mouth is, and we are pro-life, we're pro-family. And so when our staff has to spend time at home, take care of a new baby, that's something that's really respected and encouraged. I thought I was not going to need the 3 months, but sure enough, 3 months just goes in a blink of an eye. And so I was so happy to have that time to completely disconnect and adjust to being a parent again and all of the things. It's an asset for sure.
Well, and it speaks to our belief in building strong families specifically, because not only do we offer that as a paid leave policy, but then the rest of the staff really impresses me with how much we come together to cover the workload that needs to still be done in someone's absence. We're not a very large team. We are a very small, nimble team of incredibly gifted people. I truly believe God has built this team, but we do still have a lot of work that has to happen when someone's missing, especially for a period of time like 3 months. So the staff always rallies together. There's always this divide and conquer mentality. We all kind of keep an eye on how things are going and ask each other, do you need extra help? I know you've taken on extra, and we never want any one person to feel like they're responsible to do two jobs just because someone is taking the maternity leave, that the parental leave that we truly do believe in as a staff. So
Yeah. Definitely. I know even when I started back up, I was thinking I was okay, I'm going to go right back into my regular working hours. And it was just so thoughtful. He reached out several times and he said, well, I'm not going to schedule this today because you're going to ease into this. I'm still juggling, a baby and working from home and all those things. And so it did take some time to get a schedule and a routine. And you were just very mindful of that. The whole team was very mindful of that. So yeah, I really appreciated that.
And we love how your experience helps you speak truth and life into women that are going through a situation, like, as you said, is probably more difficult than what you've experienced, but it's also something that you can relate to personally, which I think builds trust with a client when you're working with them to be able to say, hey, this happened to me. And it's not the same, but I kind of know how you feel. So, are there other things in our case management process that you are really proud that we do regularly that really does show how we support and empower women?
Well, I think one of the things about our organization that I love the most is that it's very individualized. We really focus on each woman and their needs and their family's needs. And one of the things as I was thinking about participating today, what kind of links everything together, and it's the family, whether it's my own family, raising my own kids, or working with families throughout my career. I was a guardian ad litem for some time and really got to see what happens to kids when the family breaks down and the devastation that causes, not just for that family, but the next family and society as a whole. And so the importance of having secure, stable homes for our kids is so important. That's kind of been my life work as a mom, but I get to pour into that in this job too. And supporting these women who are often not as blessed as me to go through this whole process with a husband and extended family. But, a lot of times they're doing it by themselves. As moms working together, we all know what that's like. That gives us a little inside scoop into what they're going through. But just to be able to focus in on each woman's needs, the composition of their family, what they have and don't have, and how we can support them to create stability for them. That's what I'm most proud of, because it's not just about putting a Band-Aid on, I don't have rent this month, which of course we provide that if that's what's needed, but it's not about just the Band-Aid on this current crisis. It's more about helping them create stability in their homes for themselves and for their kids. So I love that. And I also love that we do everything with the backdrop of ethical principles. And those are always guided by our faith and our beliefs. I think that's a really unique thing in an organization.
Thanks for sharing that. We talk a lot about filling gaps as well, both as part of the LoveLine team, and then Pro Love Ministries obviously has that as part of the overall mission of the organization to identify gaps and fill them. You've been helping us as part of the team train pregnancy resource centers across the country in doing things like LoveLine is doing. And what gaps do you think can be filled in communities as more centers sign up for that training?
So I think just the comprehensive approach that we take and having more people take that comprehensive approach is just going to let us serve more women. And by doing that, we fill in the gaps. We need each other. Some organizations are really good at providing some things, and others are really good at providing other things. We can all still do that. Groups can provide baby items, and certain groups can provide counseling. And so some people are stronger at certain things. But if we're all kind of working under one umbrella and we all are looking at empowering the woman in all aspects of her life, then I think filling the gaps becomes more doable, and we're not just working on a band-aid, but we are arming other agencies and focusing on treating women in this more holistic approach.
And even outside of a formal training program, I've gotten to witness your ability to educate other organizations on the importance of doing more than what they're doing. Like, you are such a strong advocate for our clients in what they need and how organizations are positioned to help them, that I really appreciate that grittiness that you bring, that resilience to not just take a no, but to keep working with them to try to have a breakthrough in why it's so important that they get out of their comfort zone.
People in this field can get cynical because everybody needs something, and that happens when it's one more woman who needs diapers, or it's one more woman who needs help with the rent. But one of the things that's beautiful about what we do, that we have individual case managers to work with women and dive into their cases, is we get to know them, and we get to really walk this situation with them. And so we're in a great position to advocate for them in all aspects of managing the situation. I think that that's a big part of this. And to be able to go to a pregnancy center or call the electric company and say, this is the situation, this is a real person with real kids, we're willing to meet you halfway. If there's a landlord and she's backed up on rent, and we just can't meet all of the need, but is there somewhere we can come together, because she's just had a baby and she has two other kids. So I think helping those that are serving understand that these are real people with real lives and real issues, it gets you a long way. Sometimes we have to think outside the box.
Thanks for sharing this with us today. Was there anything else you wanted to mention that we didn't cover yet?
No, I just am like I said before, this is just a beautiful place to be. And I was reflecting, and I was so thankful that God has led me to this place at this time, and that He gave us this new baby at this time and in this space to share it with you guys. And I'm grateful for the opportunity, and I look forward to working with you guys every day.
Yes, ma'am. Please plan on that. And thanks for being
I
here
will.
with us for this conversation.
Thank you so much, Jessica.
Here with me is Kara, who's one of our LoveLine clients. Thanks for being here with me.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited to learn your story and to hear how you found out about LoveLine.
Yeah, I found out about LoveLine through my sister. One of her coworkers, she was just talking with them about the struggles that I was going through. And so they knew about you guys and they helped refer me to you because she knew I was going through some financial struggles.
So is there more about your circumstances that you'd like to share with us? Like, what were you going through when you reached out?
Yeah, so I just recently found out that I was pregnant and my husband was um, on short-term disability and he wasn't getting paid for it. There was a lot going on. It was just my income specifically. And now we were at a point where it wasn't just we might not be able to pay bills this month. It was like we are bringing a child into this world and we don't know how we're going to break that cycle of, living check to check.
So you reached out to LoveLine, and do you remember anything specific about that first text conversation that really encouraged you?
Yeah. I remember being so nervous that I either wasn't going to get texted back or it was going to take like a super long time. I just remember being so nervous for sure. And then I got like a really quick response. She was extremely nice, and it just made me feel like, oh man, if everyone there is like this and makes me feel as comfortable as they do, then it's going to be great. And it was.
So did our team work with you to set some goals?
I initially really had only reached out mainly for the financial coaching with the possibility that, you guys would also help me actually pay utilities and stuff like that as well. And so one of the main goals that my financial coach and I had was to be able to get an emergency savings, which we did accomplish, and just to be able to pay stuff on our own. And like I mentioned earlier, just break the cycle, not have to keep not knowing how everything's going to get paid all the time. And we did accomplish all of that.
That's awesome. That's so encouraging. So it's been a while since you've been connected with us. And can you share with us what your life is like now? Are things different than when you first texted us?
Yeah, they definitely are. Life has thrown some hurdles. So, initially, when I reached out, I was married. Since then, after graduating financial coaching, I had to reach back out again because I went through a separation. Life definitely threw it at me. But you guys, once again, you stepped up and helped again where I needed help. And it really meant a lot.
So, Kara, you reached back out to us. And how are you feeling when you did that?
It was definitely a time of just complete desperation. My husband at the time, he had told me that he wanted a divorce, and I had just quit my job and went part time somewhere else, very part time, to be a stay at home mom. Uh, so it was very quick, and I just knew that I needed to move out. I needed to get a full time job again. I didn't know what I was going to do. I was very worried that I might not be able to cover everything when I needed to cover everything. And I didn't end up getting financial assistance at that time, but I did enter back into the financial coaching program because my financial coach just kind of helped me like go back through my budget again and really just reassure me as she always has. My case manager just heard me out, and they really just held my hand and walked me through that. Also, they recommended me to the counseling program so that I could just process through everything because it was a lot. It was definitely a lot. So she helped me, just kind of walk through that and walk through it with Jesus and not be so bitter about the situation. Truly thankful for both times that they helped me, but especially at this point in my life.
I'm so glad that you came to us with some specific needs, and our team was responding to that and helping you through those things.
Yeah, thank you.
Is there anything that you would like other women to know about our team here at LoveLine?
Yeah, just that you guys are advocates. Like if nothing else, like you guys want the people that you work with to do well. I remember always going to my financial coach like, "You're going to be so mad. I went over on the budget." And she's like, "We are here for you." She always put me at ease. I'm in the counseling now, and she helps me out so much. You guys are advocates.
Is there anything else that you would like to share with the people listening today?
Not that I can think of, just that I appreciate all the help that I've received, and I know that it's gonna stick with me forever. I have lifelong, like I would even say friends from this.
We're so glad that you reached out to us and that we were given the opportunity to walk alongside you and are still doing so as part of our work. Our clients aren't just work. I mean, you are each loved women that God has given a purpose. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
Joining me now is Lisa, who is one of our LoveLine clients.
Thank you for having me.
So we're really curious to know, how did you learn about our LoveLine project and what led you to reach out to our team?
I initially went through another organization after struggling with my unplanned pregnancy while trying to get resources together for me. LoveLine was pretty much the only one that was like, this is who you need to contact that will be there for you to support you, more or less be the ones that can help you through what you're going through right now.
So they came alongside you at first, and what was it that they
Yeah.
were able to help you with before you started working with us?
It was actually the abortion pill reversal.
That's an
Yeah.
incredible part of your story. Could you share with us a little bit about your circumstances at the time and why you reached out to that organization first?
Yes. So initially, I had found out that I was pregnant and it was unplanned, and I was already going through some relationship issues that was pretty toxic. And I also had people in my ear kind of telling me, like, you don't need to be bringing a baby into this world right now. And I kind of let everybody get in my head and ended up getting the abortion pill. And I held on to it for about 2 weeks because I knew deep down that wasn't what I wanted to do. So after kind of going through something like kind of traumatic with the relationship, I ended up taking the pill. And that's whenever I knew right then that that was not what I wanted to do. So I got online and was looking up options like, is there any chance for a baby to survive after? But it was specifically for abortion pill reversal. And I had a nurse reach out to me within an hour of me making that initial phone call. Um, and I had the medicine in my hand within 2 hours of taking the abortion pill. I got that medicine and had to go in a few days later to check to see if there was still a heartbeat. And there was, because luckily I was like already kind of at that cutoff for the pill anyway. I was at 10 weeks.
Thank you for being
Okay.
vulnerable and telling us about that. I think that's a great encouragement to women in circumstances that are difficult in the moment because, wow, that's a lot of strength that you drew from to just make that decision at that time, saying, no, this isn't what I want. You're incredibly brave. When you reached out to Loveline and our team started texting with you or talking with you, was there anything that they said that encouraged you to keep working with us?
I would say the consistency right from the beginning. I wasn't having to feel like I was having to keep trying to get help. I didn't feel like I was having to chase it. I could feel the willingness out of the few people I did speak with, like from the jump, all reassured me that what I was going through, that they were there to help me through it. Really, it was just like being able to feel that willingness and reassurance.
So it sounds like our team was working with you in some specific goals that you had. Is there something that you can share with us about what your goals were and which ones you've been able to accomplish?
One of my goals with the relationship that I was getting out of, I was like stay or go, because I was still like kind of stuck with that, like not wanting to be alone and will I ever find better, and just really stuck in an abusive relationship. Having that person to tell me straight up, like, no, that is not healthy, that is not acceptable, that's not okay, and just more or less tell me that you're carrying a child, you have to think about that child and what would be okay for them to be around. Would you be okay with that? Being blunt and telling me like that, I feel like really helped me. I really didn't have many people that I spoke with to tell what was really going on. I speak with like a financial coach. She's really helped me as far as wasn't bringing in enough money to even cover my bills, but to help like, okay, eliminate this and try to do this. That's definitely helped me because like there was little things I wasn't quite seeing, but it does add up. She's really helped me and really been very supportive along the way, because like she even reaches out to me often, and like we touch base just like randomly even between like our scheduled visits. And then the other lady that I speak with, I meet with her once a month, and she's been there emotionally to see where I'm at throughout the month. I feel like that's more of me expressing myself and her hearing me out. So just her hearing me out and letting me know that, like no matter what it is I'm going through, I can talk about it, and helps me get everything off of my chest, and to get like feedback you know, really, and make me not feel like alone going through, the things I'm going through.
I know there's limits when we're a virtual organization and we're not in your
Mhm.
community. We can't meet you face to face in real life person and sit at a table with
Yeah,
you. But I hope you feel like the team is doing that virtually the best that we're able to with the limitations of the distance between us.
I can honestly say, like, before I actually got in contact with LoveLine, and even like since, I haven't had anyone else or any other organization that has stepped up at all to honestly help me or be there for me. And if it was not for Loveline in several different aspects, I don't feel like I would be in the mental headspace that I'm in. I would be in much worse hardship as far as my living situation. I probably would have gotten an eviction. Now I know in the next month and a half, I know like my finances will get better, but it would have really messed me up because, like, once you're so far behind, or lose your place, it's really hard to try to find another place. Besides that, the mental headspace of having someone and having a shoulder to lean on, even though it is like virtual, it doesn't necessarily feel that way because I feel like anybody that I have been in contact with, I always speak to the same people, and I feel like I've known them at this point because I built that trust and relationship with, so it don't feel like it's necessarily hundreds of miles away or just over the phone. It doesn't feel that way.
We're so glad to hear that. And it sounds like your life is very different now than when you first reached out to us. What can you tell us about how different your life is?
So, well, expecting in a few weeks, but I feel more hopeful about my future, my living situation. It's in the process of changing, which will help me long term because I know I'll be able to afford my housing.
You have shared a lot that I think other women listening to this conversation today would really benefit from knowing about the work that we do at Loveline. Is there anything else that you think women need to know from your perspective about what we do?
Things that they would need to know. I feel like in any aspect, no matter like what it is exactly that you're going through, there is someone at Loveline that can be there for you and help you through that. And it's okay to ask for help.
We're so glad you asked us for help and that the team has been providing you with the empowerment you need to meet your goals. We're praying for you. We're praying for your baby and your
Thank
family.
you.
And I'm
Thank
looking
you.
forward to the next part of your life.
Yes, yes, I definitely am. I'm very, very grateful that God did not answer those prayers that I had in the very beginning.
You're going to be welcoming your baby to the world soon.
Yes. Yes, I'm definitely looking forward to it, and I appreciate you guys being there for me.
Thanks, Lisa. Joining us next is my friend, our founder and CEO, Abby Johnson, with a special message for all of us.
Hey guys, I am so glad to join you all on this episode of Stubborn Hope. As you all know, I am Abby Johnson and I am the president and founder of Pro Love Ministries. And you've heard so many great stories tonight about how our ministry helps women. And, we could be a ministry that just says we're here to save babies from abortion, but we are not that ministry. Um, there is a scripture in the Bible in the book of John that talks about giving life, but also having life abundantly. And that's what we're about. We want women to thrive. We want women to have life abundantly. We want to grow families. That's what we're about here at Pro Love Ministries. So, yes, we do want to save lives. Absolutely. But we also want to save souls and we want families to grow and to thrive. And we need you to help us do that. We can't do it alone. And of course, helping people thrive, helping people live abundant lives does cost money. And so that's why we're here reaching out to you tonight, asking you if you will partner with us, if you will help us invest in this kingdom giving. And we're not asking for a lot. We're not asking for your life savings, but we are asking if you would give some support to us by either monthly giving, if you would possibly give a one-time donation. The women, the families that we serve, these children, they are worth any sacrifice that you would be willing to give to us. I never want to have to turn a woman away who says, I want to have my child, but I'm about to be evicted from my apartment. And if I can't even pay my rent, then how could I possibly have another child? I don't ever want a woman to feel that sort of pressure. I don't ever want to turn a woman away who says, I don't want to have an abortion. I want to have this child, but I don't have enough room in my car for another car seat. And that has happened before. I don't ever want a car to stand between life and death of her child. And these things may sound ridiculous to you as someone who's pro-life. Maybe you've been pro-life your whole life. Maybe you say, I cannot even imagine killing a child because I'm behind on rent. I can't even imagine killing a child because I don't have a suitable car for a car seat. But these are real scenarios for women who we have encountered. Buying a new car, paying off a $3,000 eviction notice, for some women, that is just a hill they can't even imagine climbing. But it is a hill that is not too big for Jesus Christ. It is a hill that is not too big for the body of Christ. And so even if it's something you can't imagine, it is something that we can imagine. It's something that we hear every day. And we need you to help partner with us to climb those hills with those women so that it doesn't seem like such a huge task. And we're not just giving them money. As you've heard, we're helping change their lives. We're helping them budget. We're helping them figure out their finances. We're not just here to be transactional. We're here to be transformational. So I'm asking you tonight to partner with us, partner with our Kingdom Giving program, and help us change lives.
Thank you for being part of this conversation. In 2024, LoveLine has served over 70 women actively seeking freedom from domestic violence, sex work, substance abuse, and other extreme situations, above and beyond the challenges of an unplanned pregnancy or mothering young children. Will you join us in helping ensure that more women and children have that opportunity? So far in 2024, more than 200 women have enrolled in LoveLine's case management, and we have assisted hundreds more in connecting with local resources. For all of 2024, we are on track to provide over 425 hours of licensed counseling and 270 hours of financial coaching, the prevention of more than 60 evictions through focused rental assistance, and many more material needs being filled. Our ministry is funded entirely by individuals who, like you, have compassion for the most vulnerable and a heart for moms who want to break out of survival mode to help their children thrive. You can donate on the form below this video. LoveLine's operating budget currently is $20,000 a month for direct support provided to clients. This is above and beyond our free case management, financial coaching, crisis support, and licensed counseling sessions. What a stark contrast to the abortion industry. We have had people reach out to LoveLine, already having a fully funded abortion appointment, including covered travel expenses from abortion access groups. They have told us that these groups that will pay abortion costs will not empower them to see past their current situation of an unplanned pregnancy. After reaching out to LoveLine, these families have chosen life and declined the financial enticement of abortion. LoveLine has helped women cancel 14 abortion appointments this year. We believe in building up lives and families, not causing their destruction. Every woman, every child is worthy of abundant life that will always be our stubborn hope.